Hi there. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Fender Play Live. I'm your host, Eugene Edwards, with yet another backyard haircut edition of Fender Play Live. Guess what happened in the news, folks? Over the weekend, Rancid's classic album, And Out Come the Wolves, turned 25. And Fender's Tim Armstrong signature Hellcat Acoustic turned 10. So to celebrate those two milestones, we thought tonight we'd talk all about Rancid. And to help me out, I have a very special guest, someone who's going to give us the inside word on this very, very special American band. Please welcome Kevin Bivona of The Interrupters. Kevin, welcome.
What's up, Eugene? Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Thank you so much for taking time and helping us with today's episode. I'm doing well. And I got to say, I love the room that you're in right there. I'm very inspired. I feel like I just want to start cutting tracks. I just want to let's just make an album.
Yeah, this is my little personal, or our little Interrupters personal studio, and we do a lot of work in here, and it's got a good vibe. Definitely a good vibe.
So as I said, so I know that you have the band The Interrupters, and we'll talk about them a little later too, but you also are part of the Rancid world. Can you tell me how you got in there?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd have to go back to the 2005 Warped Tour. I actually got a gig playing keyboard for the Transplants, and that's how I met Tim. And, you know, through meeting him, I'm also an audio engineer, so we started doing a lot of stuff in the studio, and through all of our studio work, I got to actually work on 2 Rancid records, Honor's All We Know and Troublemaker, recording them and kind of, you know, just watching. It's like seeing inside the sausage factory, seeing, you know, how the gears move and all that good stuff.
Right. And you're probably too humble to mention it, but also in your engineering experience, I do believe, didn't you earn a Grammy?
Yeah, so I mixed the Jimmy Cliff album Rebirth that was produced by Tim, and yeah, that was the Grammy Award-winning Best Reggae Album of 2012. So I did get a little stat.
Jimmy Cliff is a big hero of mine, so I wanted to make mention of that. So congratulations to you on your work on that. It is a beautiful album. And now tell us what gear you're playing there. I see an acoustic in your hands.
Well, I was lucky enough to get one of these 10th anniversary Tim Armstrong Hellcat signatures, and it's this beautiful shiny black with a gold pickguard, and sounds amazing, plays amazing, and yeah, I love this thing.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to hear you play that a full song on that a little later, I believe. But I know you have another Fender somewhere alongside that we'll be seeing pretty soon. Let's jump right into the music, if you don't mind. On Fender Play, we have 3 Rancid songs that you can learn right now. So we'll be hearing Kevin play some of those for us. And if you have questions for Kevin or myself about Rancid, drop them in the comments, and we'll try and get to them. To kick things off, Kevin, how do you feel about performing one of those tunes? And I can't think of a better way to start off a Rancid album than with some Ruby Soho, if you could.
Absolutely. You know, I'll stay on the acoustic for this because
okay, cool.
I think one of the great things about Rancid is their songwriting, you know, at its very core is very rootsy, and you know, playing it on an acoustic, you could play punk rock on an acoustic guitar. You could write punk rock songs on acoustic guitar. A lot of people might think punk rock and think that it's all got on like a electric super overdriven, but that's not the case. So a song like Ruby Soho, you know, on an acoustic, you know, they use a lot of open chords, as I was saying, very rootsy. So like something like that would be. So, you know, it's acoustic, but it's still, you know, it's still downstrokes. It's still palm muted. It's still, you know, it still has that urgency and that thing. Here, I'm going to switch to my electric now so you can kind of see how playing the open chords on the electric.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we got a great demonstration. Yeah, you're right. Being those open position chords, like you mentioned, Kevin, it's like that's, you know, for my world, those almost looks, it's rootsy. It's very country, that G, that B in the bass, going to the C, but that downstroke palm muting thing, like it certainly gives you that urgency, and it can be done on an acoustic, and you still give off that urgent vibe there. So now, what guitar have you switched to here?
So this is my baby. This is my Fender custom shop telly that I use on tour with the Interrupters. I love this thing. It's bulletproof and it sounds great. And one pickup, you know, it's all I need for what I do.
Keeps it simple.
Yeah, it keeps it simple. I can't be on the wrong one. I could have it accidentally turned off though, so it's got the on-off switch. But yeah, so we were talking about the open chords, and I feel like even with a big overdriven sound, playing open chords, you get the sustain of the harmonics, and it kind of gives you this glue that you otherwise might not get. But a cool thing about Rancid, I think, that they do is they use a lot of open chords in conjunction with, your bar chords. So when you have two guitar players like Tim and Lars, and you're kind of like, if you're listening in headphones, you got one guy on the left, depending on the record, and one guy might be playing open chords, and one guy might be playing bar chords. And it just it gives it this glue and this harmonic, sustain that's so great. So like, if I play what I just played on the acoustic there, you see how just having that, even this open G kind of sustaining, it just this harmonic glue.
Yeah, it has that drone of that G running through there, and it's really great the way those guitar parts are arranged. That one would be playing bar chord, like power chord structure, while the other guy's playing the open stuff. So they're still kind of down in that first position, but you can break them apart a bit, and it really thickens that sound. And you're right. Thank you. Mentioned Lars Fredriksson, who's been a longtime guitar player there, that he and Tim clearly delineate what parts are there. Do you see them talking about how to arrange guitar parts a lot, or do they kind of go into like a default mode?
Well, I think it's kind of a default mode because they both have they draw on a lot of the same influences, but stylistically, the way they play and their tones are very unique to each other. So, Lars has a very strong right hand downstrokes, and he's plays like kind of a Marshall 900, kind of something with a little more of that brittle top. And then Tim played big, beautiful hollow body Gretches through a Mesa, which is a little more of a scoop tone, but you get the mid range of that hollow body. So they kind of cover all their bases in that. So it's almost like they're playing the same song, but the way they approach it is a little different, but it just works together in that way. But you can't forget about the real glue, that glues the two guitars together. Matt Freeman, one of the best bass players of all time, best punk rock bass player, And
I'm so glad you mentioned. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yes, I feel as though we don't mention our four-string brethren nearly as often on this show as we should. But yes, the bass player should definitely dig in Matt Freeman, because Matt and Tim go back all the way to this is my era, the Op Ivy days. Tim Armstrong and Matt Freeman really make that core, and they've been together all that time. And Matt Freeman's bass playing, it's obviously that real high end, a lot of treble in that, definitely with a pick. But the way he's just walking through those changes so gracefully.
Yeah.
And that's so. And by the way, before we move on though, with Ruby Soho, can you play the solo section? Because I always love the way that talking about that roots influence in Rancid style. I think it really shows up there.
Totally. So there's the bridge solo area where it's like. So yeah, that little area. I mean, growing up and discovering a band like Rancid, I was lucky enough to be a young person when they, were really exploding, and discovering bands like Rancid and Green Day in that era, and just kind of latching onto punk rock, and then going back and discovering bands like The Clash, The Ramones. And then if you go even further back, you could trace its roots always end up it's all rock and roll. It's all rooted in rock and roll. So you get these kind of almost Chuck Berry kind of things happening, and it works so well with that kind of music, because just going back to how we started the show, it's all roots music, it's 1 4 5 just done in the best way with the best melody, and yeah, it's one of those things that was so accessible to me as a young person growing up playing guitar. I don't have the dexterity to do Eruption, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listening to that kind of playing, and I'm fascinated by it, and I'll learn 3 bars just so when I check a guitar out at Guitar Center, people will think I know what I'm doing. But the punk bands is what really spoke to me, because I was I can do that. And you could put just as much heart and soul into it, whether you're playing or writing a song, and I don't know, it definitely spoke to me, and it still does. I've kind of built my whole life around it. So yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely in the thick of it. Well, we've been talking about their classic 1995 album, but on Fender Play we also have their hit song "Fall Back Down," which is off their 2003 album Indestructible. Are you willing to give us a little bit of that?
Yeah. So
Cool.
I mean, even going back to what we were just talking about, open chords, right? Fall Back Down's got a little cleaner of a tone, so I'm gonna back this off a little. But like that song, I remember when that came out, like trying to figure that out. I realized it's a lot easier when you have a capo, because it's open chords again, but you're capoed up on the 4th fret. So you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of the vibe of that one.
And do you happen to know if Tim wrote that with the capo?
I wasn't there, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he did, because I've only seen them play it with a capo, and it's just got that. It just again harmonically sings in that first position, and even his solos when it goes to it is like this very kind of open, sustaining. And then juxtaposed with like Lars's solo that happens, you know, in the kind of B section.
Right.
It's like this kind of single note thing, but it works so well together, and I love the juxtaposition of the two parts as well.
No, it's a great arrangement. Kevin, we already have some questions here coming in from the audience. This one comes from on YouTube. AGC Tarani is asking, Kevin, what kind of pickup do you have in your custom telly? Because it sounds unreal.
Oh, really? Oh, this is a Seymour Duncan SH4. In touring, I've played a lot of different tellies with a lot of different pickup configurations, and I find that this one works best for because sometimes we play in 500-seat clubs, sometimes we're lucky enough to play in amphitheaters or arenas, and when you have a big PA, if your pickup's too hot or too microphonic and you get it coming back through the PA, you'll get a feedback loop. And I used to get it so much, and man, I had this one pickup that I loved the clean tone so much, but when I would go to my gain, everybody in my band would look at me and be like, what is that horrible like whistling sound? And I'm like, it only happens when I'm not playing, don't worry about it. I put this in there, and I love it. It's so great. It's great for clean, great for dirty. It's a very versatile pickup.
We've got another question here saying, yo, Kevin, show us how to do the proper Tim reggae strum.
Oh, okay. Well, here's another interesting thing, because you mentioned the Jimmy Cliff record that Tim produced, and kind of going back to how this is all roots music. I'm sure you know this, but Ruby Soho was done by Jimmy Cliff on the Rebirth record, you know, and that strumming pattern in a song like that is like. Oh wait, hold on, I was off.
You're not. Yeah.
Here we go. So, when you hear that, you think, oh, it's the right hand. I know a lot of people that will come up to me that are guitar players and like, I want to play ska, I want to play reggae, but my right hand just doesn't do that. And it's like, well, it's actually not your right hand that's doing it, because if I just barred the chord and played what my right hand is doing, it would sound like this. It's your left hand being able to pick up and mute the strings to go when the time is right. So you're engaging when you want the attack to happen. So basically my left hand is just so you got to kind of feel the upbeats, and it definitely is something that you have to feel, you have to listen to. I mean, I've been listening to reggae and ska music my whole entire life, so every era of the guitar, from early Jamaican ska all the way to, you know, Operation Ivy, is ingrained in my brain, and it's all about that left hand. It's all about making sure you're muting the strings when they need to be muted and engaging. So yeah, one more time, that strumming pattern would be like a. Another great thing, throw the 7 in every now and then. Yeah, so.
Yeah, get that voice leading in there, kind of tipping us to what the next chord's going to be. That's a great technique. I hope people take your tip on that. Look at Fender Play in the different technique section there, and you'll kind of find that, those syncopated strummings and how to use the palm muting and kind of get those things synchronized, if you will. Kevin, if you don't mind, can we switch back to the acoustic? I want to talk about that Hellcat a little bit.
Sure.
I know that... like we said, that guitar debuted about 10 years ago, and frankly, I don't know if it's a coincidence that it's coming out again this week on the anniversary of An Out Come the Wolves. I like to think it's just kismet, but maybe there's a larger plan in store here. But you were telling me earlier about the original acoustic that this model is based on. Pardon the preposition. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, yeah, like I said, I've known Tim for a long time. So when Fender made the original Hellcat was based on this guitar he's had since the 80s, and it's no secret. He's told lots of people he writes every song pretty much of his entire career to this day on that guitar. And it's one of those things. It's like Willie Nelson's like Trigger. It's just one of those guitars that you see it and you're like, that guitar writes songs. And of all the eras it's been through, it's survived. I mean, just think about how many instruments or how many things, I was just trying to grab something earlier today and my guitar almost took a spill, but imagine having something like this delicate acoustic you've had, for over 30 years and it's still in great shape and just sounds great. Also, I've been lucky enough to record it a bunch and it records great. And that's why I love these guitars, because the body shape, everything, the scale, like it's all based on that original guitar, and it's just got this sound, and again, like they're made for writing songs.
They're pretty indestructible. I know you were mentioning something about your drummer in the Interrupters. Can we hear a bit more of that guitar? Just kind of.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, so crystal clear. And again, there was a story that you mentioned. The Interrupters were doing like an acoustic show or a radio thing.
It's interesting. When we started doing a lot of acoustic performances for radio stations while we were on tour, obviously we couldn't bring all of our gear in and do a full rock show. So we had to figure out what the acoustic configuration of the Interrupter sounds like. And I remember we spent one night, I think in this very room, probably like 6 or 7 hours in here playing acoustically, and our drummer, we were putting him through the ringer. Like, okay, try playing tambourine. It doesn't sound good. Try playing a cajon. All right, no, doesn't sound good. Try playing a shaker. Doesn't sound good. Try not playing anything. No, that doesn't sound good either. And then I was playing a song and we were going over a vocal part and he just started going like this. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, just do that. That sounds so good. It's kind of like, it's so weird. So then we'd go to these places, and then our acoustic, performances we were doing, sometimes we'd show up and it would be in a venue. So, they would mic up the Hellcat and he would just be like,
there you go.
And this thing, this side, it's got a nice thing for attacking, and then he's able to get a good low end out of here for like a kick drum. So, I mean, if you look up any of our acoustic performances, I'm sure there's a ton of them on YouTube, like you'll see him with a Hellcat just... And again, it's indestructible. I mean, it's you would never know that he's beating the heck out of it,
That's a great tip. If anyone's doing any home recordings, you want an alternate to drums or something like that, just kind of grab another instrument and reuse it. Now, no Rancid episode's complete, I think, without talking about one of their defining tunes, which is Time... Go ahead, what? I just lost you a bit. You there?
You know what, Eugene? You froze a little bit. I missed that whole last bit. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Sorry, the AC is probably on too high here. No,
No
I was
tech-
saying no Rancid episodes complete without talking about Time Bomb because it's such a massive hit. And I was wondering if we could hear a little bit of it.
Okay, I'll stay on the acoustic for that. Love that song.
Love that song. It's like I hear the whole history of rock and roll music and ska and reggae all in that one song. Like there's a bit of the Who, there's a bit of Elvis Costello. Clearly, there's a bit of the Clash. Talk to me before we get to the homework. Talk to me a little bit about what you think Rancid's legacy is. Like of course we talked about what influenced them, but what do you think happened after, especially after an Out Come the Wolves album, where they kind of just they got as big as really a punk band could get. Who do you think they touched along the way there?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm a big fan of songs. I think a band is only really as good as their songs and their songwriting. And, you know, it's that one magical, mysterious thing you can't quite put your finger on, is like a song and why you connect with it and why it like touches people, and people will like, I don't know, they feel just such a connection to music because of that. And I feel like Rancid is one of those bands that had very, you know, simple yet very unique yet very original songwriting, to where people could just latch onto a song, latch onto an album. They made these great albums that have like 19 to 22 songs, and some of them are 2 minutes long, but if you really break down the core of what's happening in that 2 minutes, it's just as good as anything else on planet Earth. And I think that's the thing, that the reason they have stood the test of time, and the reason like a record like Out Come the Wolves, we're celebrating it 25 years later, when so many other records came out 25 years ago that we don't even talk about. The reason we're still talking about that is because it had great songs, great playing, great production. Brett Gurewitz, you know, and Jerry Finn and Andy Wallace mixing it, you know, like it was just one of those things. It was a perfect storm of music, and it still sounds great. It comes up in my shuffle all the time. Any of those songs sound just as good as anything recorded today. And, you know, I think...
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, when the hooks are that big and that clear, it's really hard to go wrong, right?
100%. And I think it's one of those records that like people, you buy, it's like Dark Side of the Moon. How many copies of Out Come the Wolves have I probably even bought in my lifetime? Probably 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? Like it's not a record I buy once. It's like, I need to have this all the time. And no matter how the technology changes, it's on my Apple Music, it's on my Spotify. I had it on CD, I have it on vinyl. You know, you gotta have your bases covered.
Exactly. Pardon the dogs barking in the back there. One of my dogs is a big Rancid fan. I think it's time we get to some homework. Now, for those of you, if you're tuning in for the first time, we're all about learning guitar here, and that means we like to give you guys some things to work on after the episode is done. Kevin, can you help us out with the homework? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay.
What was the... I don't
I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Kevin. So for the beginner, we want them to play Time Bomb, the chorus, slowly, with just like whole note strums. Don't worry about the reggae feel, just the 3 chords. Can you demonstrate the 3 chords of the chorus of Time Bomb?
A, D,
You're off again.
Oh, there we go. A, D, E to D. So you'd be like... And if you want to go back into those open chords we were talking about earlier... So
again, I think your guitar is on the off position, but I think we picked it up through the through your vocal mic, or did it just fall out? There you go.
Hold on.
So, oh boy.
Yeah, there we are.
Those 3 chords. Now, for the intermediate student, Play Time Bomb at full speed with the strumming pattern. Show us. Beautiful. And for the advanced player, play your favorite, I love this one, play your favorite Matt Freeman bass line at full speed.
Oh, geez.
Now, that's putting you on the spot, but. That's pretty well done on the spot. Now, I think it's time we brought out our old pal, Dylan Calagiuri, for some exciting play updates. Dylan, are you there?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here. I'm here. Thank you so much, Eugene. You guys, this is a great show. This is a great show.
Fun?
Who doesn't love Rancid? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
This is fantastic.
So tell us, I think that's a family heirloom. I think I recognize the guitar. Tell us about what you're playing and let's hear it in action, sir.
This is a family heirloom. It's a 72 Fender thin line telly. It's got a few enhancements here. This is a Space Shuttle Atlantis controller. No, it's a B-bender. Let's see if I can... So there you go. It's very in line with all the Rancid stuff we've been talking about today. So songwriting wise.
Oh, I see. Nice tie in there, Dylan. Thank you for just joining us. So no, I'm just kidding. What else do you have for us today, buddy?
I don't know if you've noticed this incredible shirt that I'm wearing.
How could I not notice this shirt?
It insists upon itself, right? No, it's the Fender Pugilist shirt. It's the Pugilist distortion pedal. I think you can probably see every nook and cranny of it here. So it's a fantastic shirt. Now, hold on. 70% off. 70% off using the promo code Hellcat at checkout. 70%. We've had 34. This is 70%. So really, you got to get it. You got to get the shirt. And so it's for, I think, until Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Fender Pugilist shirt, 70% off using the promo code Hellcat at checkout. I do have something else, though. Do you guys want to hear who won this week's Fender Play giveaway?
I've been dying to know all week.
Yes. All right. Now, so for anybody that doesn't know, each week one very lucky Fender Play subscriber who completes a streak using Fender Play in the previous 7 days is randomly selected to win the Fender Play giveaway, which is done right here, right? So winning means you get to pick from Strats, Tellys, Jazz Masters, P-Basses, amps, ukes, other things, and it's delivered right to your door, which is fantastic. You don't even have to get up. So in order to win, subscribers need at least one weekly streak, or that's 3 7-minute practice sessions using Fender Play. But if you get more streaks, you get consecutive entries. So you get 5 streaks, you get 5 entries. You got more chances to win. So now, we've come to the final moment. Are you guys ready to hear who won?
Yes, sir. Do you need a drum roll from us?
Give me something. Help me out. Help me out. Come on. Hup, hup, hup. Tina B. Tina B. Hey, Tina B. Fantastic.
Congratulations to you, Tina B, and enjoy your new guitar, bass, amp, or whatever it is you choose to have delivered straight to your doorstep. Now, Dylan, there's a question I want to ask you for a really, really long time, and I think now is the proper time.
It's natural.
And place to answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you have for us?
Okay. Well, basically, there's a new song. There's a new song on the site. It's a full song lesson, which means you learn every part of the song in detail, but in a really well thought out chronological order, including a tone lesson where you get to get the exact tone of the song. I'll see if you recognize it. It's hardly known at all, but let's see if you get it. Never heard that one, right?
It's a nice day for a
White Wedding. Very good. Yeah, Billy Idol. Kind of like the punk rock crossover into hard rock. Love it. So that's a full song that's on there.
Generation X. That's a great pool there. Nice segue.
Absolutely.
What else is on? What else do we have new?
So more new stuff on the site. If you haven't checked out collections, it's mandatory. I mean, you've got to look at this page because everything that you guys have been talking about today, including songwriting, tying things in from multiple genres, multiple techniques, and sticking them into the area that you want to study on guitar is sort of, it's an elevation of the path within Fender Play. So to give an example, we've got finger picking a fingerpicking collection that's on there. So it starts out in a pretty basic mode where you learn how to do what's called a quarter note strum. So, and that's the quarter note strum, of course. You could throw just about anything on there you want. And then we move on to some more complex type of strumming, finger picking. Dust in the wind. Anyways, and then it moves on to some really kind of intense stuff that when you go to tackle these things in songs, you're going to be prepared to do it because you did the work. So check it out. It's worth it. And it all aligns with everything we've talked about today and really on every episode of the show.
Well done, Dylan, and thank you very, very much for your participation. You get a gold star. And also a huge thank you and a big gold star to Kevin Bivona for stopping by and performing some tunes with us.
Yes! Yes!
We're very, very grateful. Kevin, I would ask you, is there anything you'd like to plug before we leave?
We don't really have anything to plug per se, but I do want to give a shout out to NITO, which is the National Independent Talent Organization. They're doing amazing things right now. A bipartisan bill to get Congress's attention for like independent musicians, independent promoters, independent talent agents, independent managers. If you go to nitolive.org, NITOLIVE.org, you could sign the petition. We're just trying to get all of those people who make their living in the touring music industry a little bit of help to get through this hard time. And it's super easy. They make it super easy. I did it, and you can do it too. It takes like 5 minutes. So
thank you for mentioning that, Kevin. I've done it as well. You're right. It's a great idea because these smaller venues are going to have a harder time getting back up and running when things get back to normal. So thank you for mentioning that. And by the way, Kevin, Chris Rhodes on our Facebook community says, "Hey, Kevin, the Interrupters music has got me through some rough times. Just wanted to say thanks."
Oh, wow. That means the world. Thank you so much.
So with that, I love ending on that note. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Everybody, please keep safe, keep practicing, and we'll see you next week. Everybody play out on a G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4.